And it was, of course, my honor to help Shondell put this together. I've attended several in the past, and I'm actually here in front of you today inspired and where I am because a lot of the things that I've taken from the last several Women's Leadership Summits, so thank you for doing this. Okay, so as Shondell mentioned, I kind of live by the E3 mantra in my world. That's engage, elevate, and empower. And when she asked me to talk for 15 minutes about something related to that, I thought, you know, I'm going to give you some clues and some hints and tips and tricks on how to do it in a specific area of what we all do. But before we go there, I want you to understand that my heart's desire is that what you hear today inspires you to just tap into who you are naturally, okay? As women, we naturally want to connect with other women. We naturally want to connect with our children and our families and our friends and our communities. It is truly part of our essence. And so I want you to just think about that. I don't want you to think when I'm talking about social media, I don't want you to fear that it's technology coming into your life. I want you to think about these things as their communication and connection platforms that allow you to expand your true purpose outside of where you live and work. Okay, does that sound fair? All right, so let's get going. As I mentioned, I was inspired to take the leap of faith from one of these very events. Actually, last year I was sitting in the audience, and I think Shondell basically said, are you comfortable? And I said, yes. She says, then you're not living your purpose. Get your butt out there and do your thing. And I had a great job. I loved it. I was working in corporate America. I retained and recruited and trained social media for 1,100 real estate agents in Washington and Oregon. I did a lot of travel for them regionally, and I really digged my job. But one day I woke up and went, yeah, I could do more than this, but I'm scared. And so Shondell really kicked me in my tushy, and I really made that jump. And part of what made it a lot easier is that I had created a very strong structure or a network that could help me really make it happen. They were right there. They were my sisters in risk, right? Those people that you know are going to have your back. So what's interesting is that these women that you see here, up here, this is my Power Women group. And all of us have known each other for less than 24 months. We've all helped each other launch our own businesses. We've spoken at each other's gigs. We've written blog posts for each other. We have done so much together collectively as this small, tight-knit group that met at a conference. And so that's where I'm going to give you your focus today. I'm going to tell you about how I worked through that. Because the reality is that as humans, but again as women, we seek to create experiences. We love when people come to our home and it's clean and fresh and we have a wonderful meal to serve them. Or if we're not the cook, we love to take them to our favorite restaurant. And we almost take responsibility for the experience that the waiter's giving at the table, right? We recommended this. We want the experience to be good. And so we have the ability to actually be the experience creator in a lot of things in our world, and we miss that. Because what we're doing is we are seeking for people to do things to us, right? We're waiting for somebody to give us that experience. We're waiting for somebody to speak positive word into us. We're waiting to be asked to join the table as opposed to being the person doing those things. We have power in our words. Would you agree that as women, we speak life into our world? Yes, right? It's not just our children and our friends and our husbands, it's everyone we touch. With a smile, we can make all the difference in somebody's day. And so if we're seeking those experiences and we're seeking the positive reinforcement, then how do we do that? Also, we seek to surround ourselves with women of wisdom, with men of wisdom, people that we can learn from that have walked the path that we're seeking to walk before us, that they can kind of give us an idea of what's ahead. We don't always listen, really. We really don't always listen, but that's okay because we've surrounded ourselves with that wisdom and we allow them to influence us, right? They are the people that we seek to tell us and to remind us, and if you will, sing our song back to us, that reminds us of what success means to us. Not what the world tells you success is, right? But what you have personally defined as what success means to you. And if you've never gone through that process, I highly recommend it. I will be successful when, and fill in the blank. Because if you haven't determined what makes you successful or when you will feel successful, how can you ever get there? How can you ever finally reach that point where you're like, all right, I'm successful. Now what am I going to add on to that? You have to be able to state it, and when you surround yourself with wisdom and influence and experience, those people can sing that back to you when you start to forget it. So you might be asking yourself, all right, this sounds great. You've got this great Power Women group, and you hang out, and you've done all these things together. How did you find them, right? How do I find them? Or better yet, how do I become one, right? Going to that, flipping that concept and saying, no. We want to find all of these people to speak into us, but also how do we enrich and add value to our world so people are seeking us in their circles as well, right? So I am going to walk you through the process of E3 in the concept based on looking around you and focusing on ways that you can engage, elevate, and empower your community. Now, your community is different than anyone else's community in here. Would you agree? It all looks different. It's like our fingerprints. They're all different. They have different women, different men, different children, different jobs. So how do you do all of that if you've got all these people around you? How do you truly create this E3 environment? Well, for me personally, I chose social networking. I chose social media as this way to get out there and really fill my world with new people. As Rebecca was saying, we have people that we work with, but how do we get outside that? How do we look for people to mentor us and to mentor that are on the outside? So let's look at what one thing we all do. Who's been to a conference or a summit or a meeting related to their industry or something they're passionate about? Go ahead and raise your hands. Pretty much all of us, right? So let's walk through what a conference looked like in 2007. So we were all probably some way, shape, or form in business in 2007, and we found out about our conferences via an email or a piece of snail mail. And it said, here's where the conference is. You can flip through some pages, find out about a couple of the speakers. Here's the date, the cost. You can pay online with a credit card, or you can send a check in the mail. Like this is less than 6 years ago. The process was very archaic. You went to a website that was static. There wasn't a blog there. There wasn't tons of enriched information. There was no way to connect with anybody on the other side. It was just, come on in. So you basically buy your ticket, pack your bag, go to the hotel, which is one of the 3 that was recommended on a list on the static website, and you get checked in, and then what are you going to do? You maybe freshen up, and you go down to a scene that looks like this, right? That looks like this. And you're thinking, okay, there's a bunch of men I don't know, and they're strangers to me. So you might walk around a little bit, you grab yourself a glass of wine, and slowly walk out the room, back up to your hotel room, and think, I'm just going to have a nice relaxing night by myself. I'm going to review my agenda. You basically leave because, look, there's one woman in the room. This is not our comfort zone. Walking into a room of complete strangers is not something that is a comfort zone for many, but in particular for women. So how do we get around that? How do we knock that out of our vocabulary and of our mentality? And so we're going to talk about that. What happened to me was in 2009. Does anybody know what this stands for? Oh, yay, I love hearing that. I met Twitter, and I fell in love. However, I didn't fall in love right away because I tweeted, and I waited, and I heard nothing. I tweeted again. I kind of learned what this RT thing was. What does retweeting mean? I started to kind of organically learn how to use this tool, but still I was like, I don't get it. but it's cute, and I love the word tweet, so I'm going to hang out here because I'm a total geek, right? So I started realizing the power of this platform was to find people I didn't know. Facebook is where you connect with everybody you already know. You went to school with them, you've worked with them, whatever. You had something in common with them, you know them. That's what Facebook's for, but Twitter is where you find people who have the same passions as you, the same career paths as you, the same visions and dreams. That's what this tool is for. And you don't, by the way, have to tweet to take advantage of Twitter. Twitter is a fiercely wonderful research and search engine. You can find somebody talking about wine, yoga, and jogging in Seattle in the blink of an eye. Where else can you find that? It's insane. And oh, by the way, it's not something that was written 5 years ago. It's something written 5 minutes ago. 5 years, 5 minutes. So you get it. You can start to see how you can utilize this tool to actually find people you don't know. All right. Let me ask you really quickly before we go into the 2013 conference scene, who's on Facebook? Woohoo! I think probably it's easier at this point to say who's not on Facebook, but that might be a little shame-driven. So I won't do that. Shame off you if you're not on Facebook, but come see me on a break because I really want to try and engage you on that. Twitter, who's on Twitter? Wow, more of you than I thought. Hopefully after today you'll be inspired to take your toe into the Twitter stream. How about LinkedIn? Come on, let me see I want to see every hand in the air on this one. This is not about social network, it's about business network, and this will grow your career. How about the hashtag? Does everybody know what a hashtag is? Yes? Yes? Hashtag, just give you a 10,000-foot level, is a highlighter pen and a filter button. So if it says pound wine in a tweet or even on Instagram, it means this is about wine. Can you tell I like wine? It's a big example for me. It's actually one of those industries that's fun work, right? So the hashtag is a really great way for you to do some searching, and that is where the story gets a little bit more interesting. So in 2013, when you attend a conference, it's slightly different. You find out about it on one of these platforms. Somebody's talking about it on Facebook. You know, they just registered on Eventbrite, and it says, share it to your network. And you're, ooh, that's interesting. Same on LinkedIn and Twitter. Somebody's attending that you know, saying, ooh, I'm going to this. Anybody else going? So we find out about it a little bit differently. Now, it still comes via email, and likely for some of them, it still comes via snail mail. But the reality is we're hearing a lot about the buzz much, much earlier on social networking. It also is much more on the rich side of content on the websites. There are ways for you to connect on Facebook and on Twitter, not just a handle, but a hashtag. All of you got lots and lots of ways to connect with Lexi and with the women who are speaking at Lexi and attending Lexi on social media in every single email that Shondell and the team sent out. We make it very, very easy to connect, right? We're like, join in the conversation. We like to just join in, right? So not only are we encouraging you to join in the conversation, but we're also igniting it. Because now what a lot of the events do is they have local advocates who live in the town that you're going to, and they say, hey, you have got to try this restaurant. You have to go on this tour. This place has the best martini. You are not going to miss a thing in this town. I love it here. I want to share my city with you. So it becomes more of an adventure as opposed to, I'm going to go hide in my hotel room between sessions because I don't know anybody, okay? It also has the ability to allow you to seek out specific people and do a lot of research on them. So if there is an attendee or a speaker going that you're thinking, I have been dying to have a conversation with this person, there is 0 degree of separation between you and anyone on Twitter. You can follow anyone you want. If you want to talk with Gary Vaynerchuk, you can talk to Gary Vaynerchuk because he is on Twitter and he's right there, 1 degree. If you want to have a conversation with Shondell, you don't have to wait for her to respond to an email or to pick up the phone. You can tweet her. It goes right to her pocket. It is right then, instant gratification. And in a world where our attention span used to be 22 minutes 20 years ago and is now 9 seconds, We need quick, easy, instant gratification way to connect with people. So this is what Twitter allows when you're talking about a conference. You can find them and then go to LinkedIn, right? Follow on LinkedIn, check out LinkedIn, where they work, what kind of awards have they won, what kind of papers have they published. You're arming yourself with information about them, that you're curious enough about them. It's okay, I'll just keep talking. You're curious enough about them to actually learn and remember information. Little things about them that you have in common. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. Don't fake interest. Just because they wrote about nuclear fusion. If you're not curious about that, don't talk about that. Talk about the fact that they have a miniature pinscher puppy, because that's something that's interesting to you. Talk about the fact that they might make their own beer in their garage, and you're really curious about what that process is. Or that they used to work at a company you used to work at, and do they know so-and-so, right? So make sure that you're making your engagement with them, that what you're talking to them about is actually authentic. All right, the beauty of that is once you have a chance to connect, and you have a chance to engage and elevate some of their messages and retweet and have conversation, this is what the networking starts to look like when you're at conferences. Now, this is my kind of networking, where you've got 10 or less people at an intimate dinner, you're sitting down, you're having conversation that you can hear, and that you will remember, right? This is important because we have 3 nights while we're away. How are we going to make the biggest bang for that time? And that's by actually scheduling time. So think about when you can sit across the table from somebody and you already know 3 or 4 things that you're going to start in the conversation, how that draws them in as well, right? They feel cared for, they feel heard, they feel educated and empowered, and you can actually walk right over those basics. You can dig right in deep to the deep conversation. Okay, so let me tell you how I personally used this to design my own influence. It's kind of a weird concept, but it was something that I thought, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to actually find people that I care about? So I mentioned in 2009 I joined Twitter. I had no idea what I was getting into. However, I came across a tweet from a company called Inman News. And Inman News in the real estate industry is like the go-to for industry information. It would be locally, so when you're trying to find out information about Seattle or the East Side, like the 206 or the 425 magazines, like all the local stuff, right? But on a national basis. So I found this handle and I started following it, right? And I get a tweet that says, we're coming to Seattle, we're bringing this event called Agent Reboot. And I'm like, oh, an event? I can't wait to see what that's about. So I tweet back and I'm like, hey, I live right here, can I help? You need anything? And they responded and said, wow, that would be great. We've never had somebody locally help. Well, what would that look like? What would you do? And I said, well, how about I schedule a tweet up, which is basically a social hour the night before the event. And they were, sure, we'd love for you to do that. So I, along with my partner in crime, Linda Aaron, who I think she's either in the room or in the stream, we put together a tweet up, and that really, for me, was the pinnacle switch in my career. That is what changed my path. By reaching out on Twitter and saying, can I help? What can I do to elevate this message? How can I empower this event to be more successful in my neighborhood? And oh, by the way, I want to be part of that. What can I do? And so the cool part about that is when I participated in that, I also got access to be part of their very first ambassador program. From the ambassador program, since in the last 2 years, I've done 16 events for them as an ambassador, spoken in front of thousands of real estate agents and brokerages, and really catapulted from being a regional influence to being a national influence, really overnight. Comparatively speaking, I am traveling all over the globe. Really, I'm actually going to Canada, so now I'm international, right? But it was just from that one tweet, just saying, hey, what can I do to help? Okay, so what can I do to help? And it skyrocketed my career path, right? So think about what you can do to fire up your own career by looking and engaging and getting connected with people before you get here. So think about if you did that. If you would have come today and had 3 or 4 people on your radar that you found on Twitter or found on Facebook, how your experience would have been different coming in. If you didn't do it, give it a try. It doesn't matter what kind of event. Give it a try. Go out there and connect. So I'm going to leave you with these five things. First of all, before you even jump in on social, make sure your profiles are fresh. Make sure you have great information on there so that when people are looking for you, they know what you're passionate about. Second, find and engage people as soon as possible. Before you get to the event, find them and start engaging with them. Third, learn about them and elevate their message and their ideas before you get there, right? Fourth, sorry about that. Technology. Fourth, make social plans for when you get there. Schedule time to have a coffee or to grab a glass of wine one-on-one or one-on-3. Don't let it just organically happen. Be in charge of your situation. Be in charge of your experience. And last but not least, schedule virtual connections for after the event. Use Skype. Use Google Plus Hangouts. Get face-to-face virtually with those people. Become your own mastermind, your own Power Women group, and your own accountability group. So I hope that I've inspired you in some way, shape, or form to take hold of your personal influence and try out some of this. So I appreciate your time.
Yay, you're amazing.